PBCHD Worship Choir. This is going to be just a brief instructional video on how to use the two mobile applications for Planning Center on your cell phone, but this will also apply to any tablets like an iPad or a Kindle, something like that, that would have the apps available. So right here you'll see the two apps that we use for Planning Center. It's two separate apps with the same service, so don't let that confuse you. The green one is really for scheduling, okay? And the blue one is what we'll be concentrating on in this tutorial video. It's called Music Stand, and you'll just search in the App Store to download it on your device by search for Planning Center Music Stand in whatever, if you have an Android or iPhone, in their App Store there. So I'm just going to launch the app and hit, you won't be able to see where my fingers are touching, but hit the blue icon there. Immediately it pops up to where I had it last, which is in rehearsal, but I'm gonna go back here. Let me hit the 3 bars in the top left, and that's going to give me the things that I have permissions to. Now I may have some permissions that you don't, so I don't know if you would be able to see things that, like the DeVille services and classes, but you should have access to Horseshoe services, so you'll just want to touch that. And then we have certain sections in here, and there are certain permissions given depending on the level of viewability, if that's a word, to you. And you'll want to touch the rehearsal section. Now, in the rehearsal section, I have loaded every Wednesday night in there, whether or not we're having rehearsal, and I'll indicate that. As you can see, for instance, on May 29th, which happens to be today, the date of the recording of the video, I have gone ahead and labeled that we're not having rehearsal. But what I have done, and I'll go ahead and touch May 29th, is I've loaded the current songs that we're working on so that you would be able to go to them and just view them briefly to see what's coming up. I'll go back and by hitting the 3 bars and going back to Horseshoe Services, going to rehearsal, and I just drug the menu down there to refresh, and for instance, if I hit June 5th, which is next week, it'll still give me, I've already put the music there as well, for even though we're not having rehearsal. Direct your eyes toward the top of the screen where the date is, and you'll be able to see the left and right arrows, and you'll just be able to cycle through the rehearsals by just touching those areas. So I've just tapped the left arrow. Now I'm back on what is today, May 29th, 2019. And here are just the current songs that we're working on. Now, what I would do, especially on a tablet, it's kind of hard to see sheet music on a phone, but if you can pinch and zoom, for instance, or if you have a larger screen phone, you can view the sheet music if it's comfortable on your eyes. But on How Great Thou Art, at the very beginning, what I'll do to make sure that it's the correct music for me is I'll hit the little arrow right under the title of the song. So you can see it says percussion 1, 2. That's not what I need as far as sheet music. I'm going to touch that. Now here are all the parts for that music, that particular song that comes up. And I'm going to cycle through them till I find something that says, like at the top it says choral piano, or sometimes it'll say vocal piano, or just vocal, or choir, something along those lines, depending on just the name of the file. And then I'll just touch that song, and you'll see on the right it goes from a down arrow to downloading it, putting it on my phone. So now when I touch the song again, it's going to pull up that sheet music, and I can just kind of swipe through it from page to page. Then I'll double tap to get back out of it to get to where the screen is. Now, for instance, if I want to listen to a song, which is really an awesome function of the app to always have the songs on you to listen to, I'll pick a song. For instance, I'm going to pick Chain Breaker here. I'll tap that. Well, it brought me to the sheet music. I'll double tap to get out of that. But then I'll hit the play button in the top right. It's the circle with the arrow in it, play, and then you can see at the bottom of the screen that it has Chainbreaker now pulled up. All right, so if there is a audio file associated with that song, you would just simply tap the song. For instance, I'll go to Holy, Psalm 29. I'll tap the song. It'll bring up the sheet music, but if you'll notice what it automatically did when the sheet music came up is it switched to that audio file in the song, okay? So, but what I've also done just now, if you saw something pop up, what I've done is tapped on the arrow the up arrow right beside the name Holy, Psalm 29 at the bottom there, and that pulls up the list of audio files for this rehearsal. Okay, so in other words, it's just the audio files for this particular, what I have loaded for you for this particular rehearsal. So you have access to all of that. So you can, for instance, if I want to listen to How Great Thou Art, I'll just tap on that. It will take a minute to download. As you can see at the bottom, it's loading. Then it'll start to play after that. I'll pause. I won't let it play. But then you can just see here are all the songs that you'd be able to listen to for that. And then I'll go back to the top right of the screen where the foremost to the right arrow, down arrow is. I'm going to touch that and it retracts back, and now I'm back to my sheet music and demos and whatnot. And so that is pretty much the entire functionality of the mobile app that you'll use. Again, I'll just double tap to get out of sheet music view. And for choir, what you'll want to do is just go to each song. For instance, What Mercy Did for Me. I'm just going to tap under that again. The list of music will come up, and I can either do the choral sheet or piano vocal. It'll give you either. I like piano vocal so I can see what the piano part is. So now it's loaded on my phone. I'm just going to hit the song again, and looks like it started playing. I'll turn that down so you can hear me. But then What Mercy Did for Me is now on my phone, and I can kind of go through that and see my part. I'll double tap to get out. Again, that is pretty much it with the mobile application. Thank you so much for viewing this. I hope this helps.